Why not using a call script is costing you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in wholesaling. Listen guys, when it comes to off-market acquisitions, your incoming call script, when the leads start to come in, your call script is a system to start qualifying these leads. If you're just winging it, I'm sorry, you're leaving a lot of opportunity on the table. Well, today we're going to deep dive our incoming call script that we use in our coaching program and in my businesses every single day. And this is the call scripts that has brought us to a point where we've done almost 500 off-market deals. So I think it works. We've done over $10 million in gross profit. Again, if you don't know who I am, I'm Jeremy Beeland, and I've done all those things in my businesses. I've built a few markets to $1 million businesses. I've done deals in 6 different states. I've been doing this since 2017. And today, this incoming call script, we're gonna go line by line and deep dive why it's really important on all of these different questions. And you need to have an incoming call script to qualify these leads properly, and if you don't, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. But stay tuned to the end, because there's one question in here I really want you to ask at the end of the call, which is really important, which will allow you to close more deals in person. All right, guys, this is a sit-down episode. I'm not standing. I'm probably still having a lot of energy, but today we're going to deep dive our incoming call script, okay? Now, what we find in our coaching program is that a lot of people get nervous when it comes to a call script, right? This is a very common thing where people are just worried about sounding really robotic, right? And I understand that. And you don't want to wing it and be natural, because you're going to get yourself in a situation where you don't ask the right questions. So when you're running a professional off-market acquisition company, whether it's wholesaling or just off-markets where you have other disposition strategies, right? Like in my businesses, we do wholesaling, wholetailing, novations, flips, buy and hold, right? But we're all about the off-market acquisitions. The incoming call script is a system. Just like when we go on our appointments and meet with sellers, that is a system. We have a very designed system to set us up for success. The reason why McDonald's became the biggest and fastest fast food company in the world at that time was because they systemized the kitchen, right? They had a system to get your hamburger, to get your French fries, to get your shake. And whether that McDonald's was in New Hampshire, where I live, California, or Texas, they all ran the same system, and that generated success and consistency. So when we're teaching our students what we do the same thing. Whether we were doing our business in upstate New York, when we were up in Buffalo and Rochester, Florida with Dan Toback, right, and Massachusetts and New Hampshire, we run the same systems. Our approach to the appointments are the same, and our incoming call scripts are the same. If you want to be professional and make millions of dollars in this business, you need to be professional and treat it like a real business. This is no more a hustle. Hustle is a season, right? But when you want to be super wealthy in this business and super successful, well, then you need to systemize your business. Incoming call script's the way to go. So you want to find the fine line, and this takes practice, of using the incoming call script to ask the right questions, to guide the conversation, to identify, 1, what are the motivation factors, right? And 2, is the equity. If there's motivation and equity, especially when it comes to fast cash sales, those are the only really 2 things that you need to do to set up an appointment. Is there motivation and equity, right? That's all we care about. I don't care if they're asking for retail value, but you know there's equity in the house. If they're motivated to sell, we go on the appointment, because you'd be surprised how many appointments you go on that you think they want retail value that we get at a deep discount, and we still make money off of it. We don't want to pre-qualify our leads. We do this way too much. That's not a good lead. That's not a good lead. If there's motivation and equity, just go on the appointment, and then let that appointment system run its course, and chances are you're going to get a lot of deals out of that appointments. So we want to stay on script to ask the right questions. We don't want to sound robotic, but I tell you, it's better to sound robotic and follow a script than it is to not sound robotic and not follow a script. But you do want to come across a little bit more sincere and a little bit more natural, right? So it takes practice following the script. It's okay to go off of it every now and then, but you gotta, when you veer off course, you gotta steer it back on into the next questions and keep following it in order. But it's okay to add your personality to it, go off course a little bit, ask some other questions, things like that. that is totally okay. But it's really important that you stick to the script the best you can, because especially with our incoming call script, we're trying to get ahead of certain objections that we know are commonplace, and we have to ask certain questions, which we kind of helps us guide us better, understanding what the motivating factors are. So the incoming call script is very, very important. Again, you want to follow it, but not be robotic. But if you are robotic, that's okay. So don't worry about just reading it. What I tell my students is, wherever you go, print this out, bring it with you. Everywhere you go, don't try to wing it. Many of my students, when they start telling me about their appointments, I'll be like, before you went on that appointment, did you use a call script? They're like, well, I asked a lot of the questions, but did you ask all the questions? No, I didn't have it with me. And I always know, because certain things happen on those appointments which set them up for failure, which if they did the incoming call script, it would have set them up better for success. So don't worry about doing, sounding too robotic. Don't worry about, veering off course, but you do need to worry about having a system in place. It's really, really important. So again, this takes time. This takes practice. Don't worry if you're not an expert in the beginning. Just print it out, take it with you, and every time that phone rings, right, it's really important that we get back to that lead right away. Like in the first 5 to 20 minutes, we want to get back to that lead, and then we want to go through this incoming call script. Now, this call script isn't for cold calling. This is for a text message lead that comes in, ringless voicemail, direct mail, PPC, SEO, radio ad, TV ad, bandit sign, right? These are the type of leads that when they're calling you and you're calling them back, you're going to go through the script. So we're going to kind of go through it line by line. I'll break down why some of these questions are what they are. But again, stay to the end, because I have a question that I really, really want you guys to ask at the end before you go on your appointments. All right. So first thing is, we're getting back to them right away. And we pick up the phone, and the phone rings and they answer. And you're just like, hi, I was getting back to you about the property you have available. Sounds like I caught you in the middle of something. We always say that. Hi, I was just getting back to you about the property you have available. Sounds like I caught you in the middle of something. This is our way of getting over the first objection. I'm too busy, I can't talk right now. What, blah, 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 right? Whatever that situation is. If they say, this isn't a good time, I can't talk right now. Okay, I understand completely, I'm sorry. What time would be best to call you? Please give me an exact time that works best for you. I will call you back at this number at that time, okay? Majority of the time, they say, oh, sorry, I was just cooking dinner, or I was just doing A, B, and C. This allows them not to be like, I'm sorry, I'm too busy after a couple minutes, I gotta get off the phone, right? We're getting ahead of objections here. So, hi, this is Jeremy. I was just giving you a call back. I was giving you a call about the property that you have available. Sounds like I caught you in the middle of something. We zip it and listen, right? No, you didn't catch me in the middle of something. Great, great. I just wanted to give you a call back about the property you might be selling. Can you give me a little bit more about the information? They're going to be like, well, what information do you want? And you'll say, well, can you just tell me the address? Well, they may say, you sent me something in the mail. You don't know the address? Oh, I'm sorry. We send out a lot of mailers and we have a lot of different marketing channels. I don't know which property this is. Can you give me the address, right? And as you get the address, pull it up online, Zillow, Redfin, and look at it so you know exactly what house you're looking at. And then they'll tell you a little bit, they'll tell you the address. And you say, that's great. Awesome. Thank you so much for calling. Can you tell me a little bit more about the property, please? And they'll go on and tell you, like, it's a 3-bed, 2-bath. We've lived there for 10 years. It's a ranch. It's a colonial. It's contemporary. It's a condo. Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. Just write down the notes, right? Again, we don't really care too much about the house, because at the end of the day, the house is just a commodity, especially when you're wholesaling. But with off-market acquisitions, we're a marketing company first, right? We're a professional marketing company generating leads, which we're using a sales process to convert those leads to contracts. Our service in this industry is to provide solutions to their problems. We're tailoring a customized solution for their specific problem in exchange for the way they pay us, which is equity in their home. We take that equity in their home and we turn it into an assignment fee, a wholesale fee, a novation fee, a flipping renovation fee, right? So that's what we're doing, is getting equity in their home. So they tell you about the house, right? This is what I want you to be. I want you to say, after they tell you about the house, and this is where a lot of people get nervous. Wow, that sounds like a great house. Why would you consider selling it? Why would you ask somebody that? Isn't it scary to ask somebody why would they consider selling it? It may not be scary to you, but a lot of people are afraid, because they're afraid of just being like, well, I just got your letter in the mail and I wanted to see what this is about. And you're going to get a lot of different answers, right? But that is usually the question, I'll say 90% of the time, where it's going to open up what's going on. And this is the question that you want to deep dive before coming back to the script. So that sounds like a great house. Why would you consider selling it? And they go on to tell you, I've lost my job, my wife and I are downsizing, our kids are too old, we need to relocate, whatever the case is, deep dive. Let's say, for an example, he says, well, I recently got laid off. It's becoming a little bit hard to financially afford it. The house definitely needs some work and some love, deferred maintenance. I have another opportunity to get a job somewhere else, and I may have to take it soon. I don't know if we have time and money to fix this house up and use a realtor to get it sold, and I do want to get this other job, so it could be a great opportunity. Oh, I'm sorry you lost your other job. What did you do? Oh, blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay, great. And they were having layoffs, huh? Yes, yes. Now, this other job opportunity you have, is it the same type of job? Where is it located? How soon do you have to start? Now, you talked about deferred maintenance and not having the money to put into it. I greatly understand that. Selling your house as is be something that would be advantageous to you? Yes, it would be. Okay. It sounds like you're kind of want to stick to a very strict timeline. If we're able to, if you're able to sell this house and move to your next place and follow that timeline, is that advantageous to you? Great. But we can just deep dive certain things about what's going on in that motivation, right? Oh, and be empathetic. Oh, you lost your job. I'm so sorry to hear about that. What happened? Oh my goodness. How did that make you feel? How long has it been? Wow. What are you planning on doing next? Wow. What if that doesn't happen? Oh my goodness, right? And you would ask these questions in person as well. So we want to deep dive, right? So after you deep dive about why they're selling their house, right? We want to go back and follow the script and say, oh, sorry, let me do this. I'm trying to read here with this light shining at me with my readers on. It's not good. See, as much as I've done the script, you think I'd have it memorized, but I don't. And this is why you need to print it out, okay? So after you say, sounds like a great property, why would you consider selling it? And you deep dive on what's going on. The next question you want to ask is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what do you think the property is worth? This is important because this is going to kind of tell you where they're at, right? So you're looking online, you're going to see the Redfin, estimate or the Zestimate from Zillow. And we all know that it's probably not super accurate, but it's close enough to give you an idea of where they're going to be. And, we need to know, are they looking for retail value? Are they looking to sell the house at a discount? Because this will just kind of determine a few different things. Again, if there's motivation and equity, we're going on an appointment anyway. This helps us also start to pull some information out of them about getting ready to think of what the price may be. So Mr. and Mr. Seller, what do you think the property's worth? And they may say, well, we're not really sure. Okay. Do you know anybody else who's sold any similar properties in your area that you may know what those sold for? And, have you talked to a realtor about what they think the value of this house? Have you looked it up online, right? Whatever that is, you could just kind of do those questions. They may say the property is worth X. Okay. Well, how did you arrive at that number, right? So they're going to say the house is worth $200,000. Well, how did you arrive at that number? They may say, well, my neighbor across the street sold the house. Okay, was the neighbor across the street the same exact house? When did that sell, right? Timeline, did it sell at the same time? Did it sell a year ago? Is it a much bigger house, a much smaller house? They may say, we had a realtor come in. Okay, great. Did the realtor provide you some comps as well to show you the exact value of the house? Yes. Okay, great. This next question is even scarier to ask. What is owed on the property? Meaning, how much do they owe on their mortgage or any other liens? Because again, this is how we're going to determine if there's equity in the property. A lot of people are afraid to ask this question, but don't be. So what is owed on the property? Well, we owe $100,000. We'll go back to the house that they think the value is worth $200,000. They owe $100,000 on the house. Okay, great. Now, is that just one mortgage? You have multiple mortgages? I always like to ask this question because I've been surprised by a second mortgage or second lien that they don't tell us about until after the fact, maybe a HELOC that's out there. So I always ask, is that all of your liens combined? And they'll say, yes, we owe $100,000. Okay, awesome. So we ask that question. Now, if they say to you, well, that's none of your damn business how much I owe on the property, that's usually a big red flag that the seller is not motivated. If they're not willing to tell you what's owed on the property, they may just be fishing for information, but they're probably not the right fit for you. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't go on the appointment depending on how the rest of the conversation goes, but that's usually a red flag. If they're saying that's none of your business, they're probably not the right fit. Most people who are reaching out to you that are the right fit have no problem telling you how much they owe on it. Okay, next question is, where are you in the selling process? Right? Do we want to know, have you received any other cash offers from anybody else? Are you talking to other investors? Have you talked to any other realtors? Have you had your house listed, right? We want to know where you are. Are you just fielding offers right now? Or is this something you're looking to do soon? So where are you in the selling process? What is your time frame for selling the property? Is this something you're looking to do in the next 30 days or less? Or are you looking to do it in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, right? Because some people may be getting ahead and they may be a great opportunity, but they may not be able to move into the next place until it's ready in 4 months and they need to wait. Somebody may need to be out of the house in 4 days because they're trying to beat an auction. So what is your time frame on selling the property? This will give you an idea on what's going on outside of why would you sell your house? Why are you considering selling your house, right? This will tell us a little bit more about what's going on in the situation, the motivation. And then this is the question that you need to ask exactly the way it's supposed to be asked, okay? Now, this is a question that I've learned from my mentors who learned from their mentors, and they've been asking this question for 20 plus years. And this has been the question that has, gotten probably hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of houses with this question, okay? And it's designed to ask what the person wants for the house. What number are they looking to get, right? It's funny how when it comes to selling a house, nobody really wants to tell you how much they want to sell it for, but when you're selling your used F-150 or any other automobile in your front yard, it's always $10,000 or best offer. But when it comes to a house, everybody's afraid to throw that number out there because they're afraid that they may not know and they may be afraid they're going to sell it too cheap. So we want to ask that difficult question, which is a tough question, but it's bookend on 2 positives. So we started with a positive, ask the question, end with a positive. This allows them to answer the question, but allows it not have that negative stigma to it, all right? So you ask it this way. Well, let me ask you this, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. If I could pay all cash and close quick, what's the best price you'd be willing to consider if I paid for all the closing costs and there's no real estate commissions to pay? Now, if I could pay all cash and close quick, positive, what's the best price you'd be willing to consider? The real question here, leaving with a positive, if I paid for all the closing costs and no real estate commissions to pay, right? That has to be designed that way. If you ask it any other way, it's not going to work as well consistently. So again, let me ask you this, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. If I could pay all cash and close quick, what's the best price you'd be willing to consider if I paid for all the closing costs and there's no real estate commissions to pay? Then we zip it. We don't say another word. The next person that speaks loses, so don't say a word. I don't care how long that awkward silence is on the other side of the phone. Just sit there and wait and wait and wait, okay? And no matter what number they say to you, they say 200,000. Let's say they think the house is worth 200,000. It's an ARV of 250. They owe 100,000, okay? They come back to you and say 100,000, all right? That is, holy smoke, I have a great deal here, right? But we don't want to show those cards. So even if they say that, we're going to answer this the same way. I'll explain why in a second. Or they say $200,000 or $225,000. I don't care what that number is, high, low, somewhere in between. No matter what, we always answer it the same way. I want you to sound like you're kind of like confused and disappointed and go, okay. And that's the best that you can do. Then we zip it again. We don't say another word. Next person speaks again, loses, all right? So the reason why we ask that when they give us a number that we really like is we don't want to have seller regret, right? When it comes to a seller selling their house to us, they have to feel it's their decision. If they feel like we sold them, and again, nobody likes to be sold and nobody likes a salesperson, but and they're feeling like we sold them on this, they're going to cancel the deal. And if you're like, $100,000, great, I'll be right over, let's sign the contract, they're going to be like, whoa, 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 I'm giving the house away too cheap. Maybe I screwed up, and they're going to have seller remorse, seller regret. We don't want that. So we're not trying to squeeze them for more money when they give us a great number. We really want them to feel like they're not going to have seller regret, remorse, and cancel the deal later, right? So I'm not trying to get 100,000 down to 95, but even if I do, it's more to do with I want them to feel confident with that number, that they feel good with that number, and not have regret with it rather than trying to squeeze another $5,000 out of it. Then on the other side, we just want to know, will they budge off that number? So if they're asking a high number, do they show like they're willing to move off that number? So I'll give you an example. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let me ask you a question. If I could pay all cash or close quick, what's the best price you'd be willing to consider if I pay for all the closing costs and there's no real estate commissions to pay? I don't say another word. $200,000. Okay. And that's the best that you can do? Zip it again. I don't say another word. Well, I don't know, maybe we could do 195, 190,000. Oh, okay. 190, $195,000. Okay. Then I go to the next question. So the next thing I want to do is determine if there's any decision makers. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, will you be able to make a final decision on this property, or do you need to run this by anybody else, right? We need to know, is there any other decision makers? So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is there anybody else that you need to run this by? Is there anybody else that you need to make a decision with when it comes to selling your property? A lot of people don't ask about other decision makers, and this is where a lot of people run into trouble, right? You'd be surprised how many husbands and wives call us without their significant other knowing. So you could say something like, Mr. Seller, hey, is there anybody else you need to run by this to make a decision-making process? No, the mortgage is in my name. Okay. Are you married? Yes. Does your wife know that you're selling the house? No, she doesn't know. How would she feel about selling the house, right? These are questions sometimes we ask because some people are trying to sell the house without the other person knowing. But where it really comes into play is, you may have like an elderly person who maybe spouse is no longer with them, right? And they may want to run it by their children or a friend or somebody else that they know. And that's important to know. Probate or inheritance, where, the house is coming to us and you have somebody who's in charge of the estate or probate, right? The executor of the probate, and he or she may be the person that actually is in charge of selling the property and actually is the true decision maker, because legally all they have to sign. But at the end of the day, if there's other people, other heirs, other family members involved, they're not going to make a decision without running it by them. So we really want to know, are there other people involved in this decision making process? And if there is, well, then we need to make sure that they're at their appointment, and we need to know. Otherwise, you're going to go on this appointment, you're going to do a great job on your appointment, and you're going to, Mr. or Mrs. Seller is going to, or Mr. Seller is going to be like, you're going to be like, are you ready to sign this deal and move forward? He's going to be like, no, I need to run it by so-and-so. And this puts you in a situation where if you walk away from this appointment, don't get the deal, chances are you're not going to get it, right? And secondly, you've spent all this time and energy building rapport with somebody who is part of the decision-making process. And now the other decision makers don't know you from a hole in the wall. They have concerns, they have questions, and they have no rapport with you. For them, it's just pure numbers and business. That does not put you up in a situation for success. That puts you in a position of failure. So we always want to make sure, are there other decision makers? And if there is, we want them at the appointment. We're going to go on one appointment, and we're going to schedule when all decision makers are present. And if the person comes back to you and says, well, my wife works, or my significant other works, or they're not local, whatever the case is, can we just meet and I could talk to them later? Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, with all due respect, I've been doing this long enough to know that, whoever else is decision making in this process is going to have questions and concerns. And to be respectful of your time and be respectful of my time, it's best if we all meet or all talk at the same time so I can answer their questions and their concerns real time, so you guys can all collectively decide, is this the right fit for you or not? If I provide you some information, they may not get all the information they need to make the decision. So it's in all of our best interests to be present together to make sure we all have the right information, all have the correct information to make a proper decision to move forward or not to move forward. So that's what we would say. And then if they say, well, so-and-so isn't local, then just let's schedule a time where they can either be on a Zoom call with us or FaceTime or a phone call. I've been on a lot of appointments where I have my phone tied up, or the seller has their phones on, and we have, on speakerphone, and I'm talking to them all in the same room. Or we even could do a Zoom where it makes it more personal, which is my preference, but some people don't like to do that. So make sure you have all decision makers. This is going to prevent you from leaving a lot of appointments without contracts, I promise you. Next question is, well, what is the best time to meet you? Now, we always want to shorten the timeline in everything we do in this business. Time is a deal killer. As soon as that lead comes in, we want to be getting on the phone with that person right away, right? And getting them on the phone with this incoming call script. Once we get the call script and go through and we're setting up the appointment, we want to go on the appointment like today, tonight, this morning, tomorrow morning, right? We want to shorten the time. If they say a week, we want to try to shorten that down the best we can. Well, hey, I'm going to be in your area in the next couple of days. Is there any time in there that works, right? Even if you short it by one day, it can make a big difference, all right? And I'm going to give you an example why. So one of our acquisition guys down in Florida, who's no longer with us, and this is what I share the story with all of our students of the importance of this. So he's at home on a Sunday evening cooking dinner. Now, he was struggling to find some good leads for a little while, and this was the lead that he wanted. The guy was super motivated, facing foreclosure, had to make a quick sale. He basically waited till last minute and didn't have any time to go. The numbers that he was talking over the phone looked like this was a really good deal. Like, this was one of those type of deals that we were probably going to get a $40,000 assignment on. This guy was super motivated, and there was a super urgency to him. So he just needed to get what he could get and get out of the house. It's Sunday evening, picks up the phone, has a phone call while he's cooking dinner for him and his fiance. Perfect. That's what we need to do. We don't ignore phone calls till the next day. That is going to lose you deals. So he has an appointment actually not right down the street on Tuesday. And he says to him, hey, listen, I'm going to be in that area on Tuesday around 1 o'clock. Why don't we meet around 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock? I forget the exact time. So 48 hours later, right? You think that would be great. He goes to the house at 4 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. And the seller says, hey, I'm sorry. I had somebody who came out here yesterday. I signed a contract with them. Boom, right? He could have went out there first thing Monday morning. He just came into the office and was hammering the phones. He was just thinking, hey, if I'm going to be in that area, why make a separate trip? But time's a deal killer. He lost himself a $40,000 assignment by just trying to say, hey, I'm going to go out there in 2 days because I'm already going to be in the area, rather than going there the next day. So time is a deal killer. You need to be going on these appointments as quickly as possible. I'm going to give you one more example. So Dylan, when we were up in upstate New York, our acquisition guy who was a rock star, was sitting at home on Christmas and a PPC website lead comes in, right? PPC lead comes in. It's 9 o'clock on Christmas morning. You'd be surprised how many people are home alone in distress on Christmas. So I would not fault Dylan, who had 2 young boys at the time, for not picking up the phone. But he said, you know, kids are opening up their presents. I'm sitting here drinking coffee. Somebody's calling me on Christmas. They're probably pretty motivated. He was right. He picks up the phone. He's on the phone for 10 minutes on Christmas morning. He sets up the call for the following morning, the day after Christmas at 9 a.m. after Christmas, goes on the appointment, gets the contract, and as he's leaving, he sees another house buyer or wholesaler in the area pulling in the driveway as he's pulling out. But he's leaving with the contract, the other person isn't. Now, if he said, hey, listen, it's Christmas, I'm not answering the phone call, well, that person would have gotten the deal the next day. If he didn't go on the appointment as early as he did the next morning, went later in the day because maybe he wanted to spend a little more time with his family, again, wouldn't fault him for doing that. Somebody else would have got that deal. That deal was a $53,000 assignment deal for us. $53,000. So that is the difference of shortening the timeline. So we want to get the people on the phone right away, go on an appointment right away, and get the house closed as quickly as possible. Time's a deal killer in this business. So what is the best time and date to meet you? Great. I'm looking forward to meeting you. Here's the question that I want you to ask, okay? This is what you have to stay to the end for. This is the question you need to be asking every single time. And when my students in the coaching program don't, I know it's, when this situation happens, I always know it's because of this question. All right, great. So when we meet on Saturday, if we're able to come up with something you find favorable, all right? So if we come up with terms, a price and terms that you find favorable, are you willing to move forward and put together an agreement that day, right? You can ask this different ways. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I come out there and meet you on Saturday morning, and we're able to come to terms that you find favorable. Are you willing to sign a contract and move forward that day? If they say yes, I'm going to tell you why this is important in a second. If they say no, okay, may I ask why? Right? We need to understand what's going on here. Well, we have other people coming out to see the house. We're just fielding offers right now. We want to run it by somebody. Maybe there's another decision maker they didn't tell you about, right? There's going to be a scenario here where we need to understand why they don't want to make a decision that way. It's probably something as simple as like, well, we don't know our next steps, and we're afraid if we sign a contract, we're going to have to be forced to move out in a couple weeks or a month, and we don't have a place to go. Well, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we can adjust our timeline for whatever's best with you. There is no timeline that we need to stick to. We're going to work with you. Oh, you can do that? A lot of people don't know what they don't know. They don't know what you know. So a lot of these objections are just ignorance. They don't know. Now, if they say, yes, we're willing to sign a contract to move forward that day, okay, this is important. So you need to know if you can agree to terms that they find favorable that day, you should be able to sign a contract. So let's just say you go through your whole appointment. You agree on price, you agree on terms, and you say, all right, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we're ready to sign the contract to move forward? And they say, no, we need to think about it. No, we need to pray on it. Well, that's not what they said on the phone, right? So here's how you overcome that objection. Oh, okay. Well, this is surprising. I guess I'm just a little confused because when we talked on the phone yesterday or the day before, I asked you, if we were able to come to terms that you found favorable, you said you'd be willing to sign and move forward today, and that isn't the case now. So I'm just really confused. So what has changed? I don't say another word, right? What has changed? And they're going to be like, well, we just want to think about it. We want to pray on it. Okay. This is what we say. Well, from my experience, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when people say this to me, it's one of three things. 1, they don't like the price. 2, they don't like the terms. 3, they don't like me. Which of the 3 is it? And I'm putting them on the spot right now, right? What is it? Because chances are it's probably just the price. And you'd be surprised, it's probably a difference of like a couple grand, right? And it's still a good deal for you, but for them, they're just hesitant. And you're trying to pull that price out of it. Well, I think it's just the price. It's a little bit lower than we expected. Okay, well, I'm not saying that I can come up on price, but in an effort to, try to see if we can get a deal done today, since I'm able to provide all these solutions to these other problems that you mentioned, we seem to be a good fit for each other. What number do you need to be at? Well, we'd like to get an extra $5,000 out of it. Okay, so if I could do the extra $5,000, you're willing to sign and move forward today? Yes. Okay, great. Could be the terms. We appreciate the cash sale and the quick close, but we're worried that we may need more than 30 days, and I don't want to have to sell this house and not be able to have a place for me and my family in 30 days. Okay, overcome that objection. Or, hey, Jeremy, you're a complete ass. I don't like you. You're arrogant, and you smell funny, and you got a weird Boston accent, right? Nobody ever says that. Well, some people say that, but not in this industry. They don't say that. It's typically always just about price, and we're trying to pull that information out of it, right? So ask that question at the end of your call before you go on the appointment. And now when you go to sign the contract, they say, I need to think about it. I need to pray on it, or whatever it is. The objection is probably something as price. Even though they agree to a price, they're not confident with it, right? Or they may tell you something else completely different, but we need to get that out of that and see if we can overcome that objection in that process. So that is the incoming call script. You need to be following it. If you don't have it, well, maybe if you reach out to me, I will provide it for you for free. So, just told you to stay at the end. I'm glad that you did. If you comment below, call script, I will reach out to you. We'll get your email. We'll email it over to you for free. And then you can start using the incoming call script in your business right away. So you can start securing more appointments and more deals. Hope that was very informative for you guys today. This is the exact call script system, the system that we use in our house buying businesses every single day, and you should be using it in yours. If you guys found this video informative and helpful, please like it, subscribe to my channel. This helps me a lot. You guys know how YouTube works, right? It helps me in the algorithm, so I show up for more people trying to find help on call scripts and how they can do more deals, right? They need help. I'm out here. They haven't found me yet. You liking my video and subscribing to the channel is going to allow me to the algorithm, but it's also going to allow you not to miss out on my future videos, just like all my past videos where I am teaching you everything I know. I'm giving it all to you for free. This is what I do in my house buying businesses every day. I just broke down a call script for free, right? So, and if you comment below call script, we'll provide you a free sample of the call script as well. We'll email that PDF to you. And the last thing I would say is just if you know anybody else who is, or two last things, if you know anybody else who's needing some help, please share this video with them. And if you guys want to learn more of what it takes to get really good, not only at the call script, but talking to sellers in person and on the phone, and you want to start converting more of these opportunities, not just to contracts, but contracts to close, right? You need some help and some mentorship. Well, click the link below. You can book a free, no obligation strategy call with me and see if we're the right fit in joining our mentorship program. If we're not, no worries. I'll leave you with some value, some guidance, some key pointers to help you do better in your business, or even lead you in a different direction that may be a better fit for you than us. But if you want to learn more about our coaching program and be in mentorship with me and having access to my cell phone where you can call me real time for real time implementation. See, I'm not very articulate, but for real-time implementation. So you're saying, hey, Jeremy, I have a situation right now and I need your help. I'm on an appointment. call me up. I'll walk you through it. Anyways, that's it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate it. Again, this is all here. We're all trying to do the same thing, which is to build a life of freedom through real estate investing. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, guys.